Don, you heard me read it to you.
Uh-huh.
Did I sound like a really bad guy?
Way they talking, you were.
That's what they said. And yet I was amazed at how much contempt and hatred was in what they wrote. Isn't that amazing? And then I think I have it on my computer. Oh, I probably shouldn't do this, but there were a few things that just sort of, oh, let me get down here. You showed more of the devil than Christ. From most anyone's view, well, I dare say the people to whom he is referring are people who are allied with him. Because I know a whole lot of people who see the author of this email having a lot of contempt. He says, I would appreciate an apology. Well, Don, can anybody identify about whom I was speaking? Is there any way to identify about whom I was speaking?
I think you just said if the shoe fits, wear it.
Oh, Don, that's a bit of wisdom there. Yeah, if the shoe fits, wear it. Or Michael Jackson, the great philosopher, you need to look at the man in the mirror. Before you go around wasting your time pontificating about me, you need to look into the mirror. If we want to point out flaws, trust me, I can point a whole lot of them out. But I'm not even going to answer this email. It's not worth my time. It's not worth my trouble. Oh, Don, a poem entitled The Song of the South.
Oh, yeah.
And remember the story about the tar baby?
Uh-huh. Burr rabbit, burr bear.
That's right. And that if you end up trying to interact with the tar baby, you just end up getting stuck and you end up with getting tar all over you. But Don, what was amazing to me, I think I pointed this out to you. This person was going on and on and on. Never once did the person ask in their email, are you upset with me, Mike? And if so, why are you upset with me? They didn't ask that question because, quite frankly, they were perfectly aware of why I was actually upset with them, troubled by them, disappointed in them. No, I'm not even going to waste my time writing an email. Well, somebody might say, well, Michael, you may never see them again. Well, I haven't seen them in quite a few years. How long has it been, Don?
Oh, 4 years maybe.
Something like that. So is it going to break my heart? Didn't Elton John have a song? Don't go breaking my heart.
With Kiki D.
That's right. Well, is it going to break my heart? No, it's not. No, it's not. I don't have the time, I don't have the energy to wrestle with your tar baby. Not interested. Go your way. Go and do your little thing. Make believe you're holy. As for me, I'll just stay here in Owensboro and I'll do my thing. And that's the way I feel about it. Might I feel differently somewhere down the road? Oh, it's possible. I always allow Jesus Christ the opportunity to change my mind if it needs to be changed. But I also, when Jesus Christ shows me something, I hang on to it real hard, and I don't throw it away. And I just have a feeling Jesus Christ is the one who showed me this one. You will know them by their fruits. And as Don so eloquently said just a few moments ago, if the shoe fits, wear it, fella. And if it's not your shoe, why are you even worried about it? But this here's another part that I can't resist. This person seemed to act so offended that people might know. I don't know how they know, because you can't see it from anything I've said or anything I've written, that people would know about whom I was speaking. And yet that same person, now get this, that same person sent out this letter, and I believe other letters have been written by some people, and they've been telling everyone they can get the message to. So really, just how honorable was that? I know that one of these two characters has demonstrated to me he has no honor. He is without honor. So if he were to go another step and try to shift all of the blame back on me, well, that's exactly what I would expect out of them. Don, a song is coming to my mind. I don't know where the song came from. It takes a worried man. Oh, yes, I do. The Kingston Trio.
Takes a worried man.
It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. It takes a worried man to sing a worried song. I'm worried now, but I won't be worried long. No, you all just disappear as far as I care. And keep all of your deceptions to yourself. I'm just not going to waste my time with them. And to the best of my ability, I will do and I will say what Jesus Christ wants me to do and wants me to say. And if there's only one person that hears what I say, and they have their life changed, and they are brought to the place of conversion, and because of that, they become a future inheritor of the kingdom of God, then I will be thankful. Truly thankful. And I won't be making any money off of them. I won't be requiring tithes or offerings. Not a bit. Because freely as I receive the truth of God, once upon a time. Freely I want other people to hear the truth of God, without the subject of money even being mentioned. And for those people who learn the truth of God because Jesus Christ is using my face, my voice, my mind, I will be very, very proud of them. And I will reverence them for all eternity. I feel like I got a sick cat over here, folks. Don, are you a sick cat?
Snuffy nose.
Snuffy nose or stuffy nose?
Snuffy and fluffy.
What about fluffy?
Maybe.
Do you have a fluffy nose? Maybe some of your beard you sucked in. Now, I'm just joking, folks. But anyway, this person ended their note. What you said was unacceptable, wrong, and very pathetic. Well, that's interesting, because from my vantage point, what you wrote was very pathetic. I just hope there comes a time when Jesus Christ maybe allows you to see things in a different light. And if Jesus Christ opens my eyes and allows me to see things another way, I'll be happy to accept that. But maybe you need to simply take care of yourself. Like Michael Jackson said, look at the man in the mirror and quit spending so much time being so unbelievably preachy to people. Don't you ever get a little uncomfortable just preaching to people? Well, do this and do that and da-da-da and da-da-da. I'll stop. Let's get back to the book of Matthew. And then verse 11 in Matthew 24. Many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And where do those false prophets come from? They come from everywhere. They come from different religious denominations. They come from different churches, religious backgrounds. They might come from a Protestant background. They might come from a Catholic background. They could come from a Jewish background. And what is particularly upsetting to me, they could also come from backgrounds of which I have once known. Now again, is it my job to judge them or to determine who is a false prophet or not a false prophet? No, that job belongs to Jesus Christ. I'll let him sort it out. But I'll go back to what Jesus said many times. You will know them by their fruits. You will know them by their fruits. And some of the bilge, which is over there on my computer screen, I'm not very impressed with it. There's sort of subtle threats in there. Like at one point the person said, well, I'm really going to let loose. And when they said it, I thought maybe they were referring to diarrhea or something. I don't know. I'm really going to let loose. And there were several of these little veiled threats. And so You think you're being holy by threatening me? You've really got the cart and the horse all screwed up here. Oh, I said I wasn't going to do that. I'm sorry. I'll put my glasses back on. Many false prophets shall deceive many. And verse 12, because iniquity shall abound. That iniquity, sin, evil. That sin might be the sin of arrogance and pride. That sin might be the sin of greed, of wanting to make money. That sin, I don't know, there's all types of it out there. Because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Don, did you ever hear the story about the tortoise and the hare?
Yes.
Now, the tortoise is like a turtle, a land turtle. The hare means a rabbit. And when they shot that gun to start the race, who got off to a quick start?
The hare.
Yeah, the hare, the rabbit. The hare is H-A-R-E, like a rabbit. And he's just galloping away, and the poor little tortoise just kept plodding ahead, one step at a time, one step at a time. And the hare got so infatuated with how fast he was going and how much he was destroying the opponent that he sort of became confused. He became disoriented. Did the hare take a nap?
He took a long nap.
He took a long nap?
What was the guy's name? Rip Van Winkle? Who fell asleep, woke up with a long beard.
Wait. We're talking about two different stories here, aren't we?
Well, about the same.
Okay, I don't want to confuse the people.
Yeah,
the tortoise and the hare, I think, comes from Aesop's fables.
Uh-huh.
And Rip Van Winkle is a whole different story. But in the original Aesop's fables, did the hare stop and take a nap?
Yes, he did.
Okay. He thought he had it made. In like Flynn, no problems. And the hare, and the turtle, the tortoise, just kept plodding ahead. And eventually, he wins the race. So, what is the only proof of success, Don?
To win.
Yes. Crossing the finish line, having been declared a victor. Now, in this case, who declares victory?
Jesus Christ.
That is correct. In this example, Jesus Christ is the one who says, "Well done, my good and profitable servant. Inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the very beginnings of the world. Well done." And unfortunately, some people are told by Jesus Christ, "I never knew you." Wouldn't that be horrible to hear, Don?
Yes.
And they start in this parable which Jesus speaks. Somehow I think it's not too far away. I'm thinking it might be just a page or so away. And they go, but we did this and we did that. We did all these great things. And Jesus looks at them and said, "I never knew you." And then he says, "Away with them. Away with them." It's a very dangerous thing to think too highly of oneself. It's a very dangerous thing to do. That's why humility is a good thing. Real quick, I just thought of something. Keep your some type of card. Turn over to Matthew 5. This topic came up in the conversation which Luke and I were having today. Matthew 5. Do you remember what's there, Don?
Jesus fulfilled the law, the beauties.
Say again, please.
The beauties.
The beauties? You mean Beatitudes?
Beatitudes.
Yes, thank you. He opened his mouth, Jesus Christ, and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs will be the kingdom from heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. It doesn't say, blessed are those that are so filled with arrogance, they think they have to always be preachy. A little humility goes a long, long way. Verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. I don't know, there's a whole lot of places over there in that email that doesn't convey to me a spirit of mercy, but actually threats, veiled threats. And I think, have you been around the truth of God this long and you still haven't figured out those things? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs will be the kingdom from heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake, and will send it out via email to everyone they can reach. I think that's called slander. It's not the spirit of mercy. It's not someone seeking forgiveness. No, something's wrong. Rejoice, verse 12, and be exceedingly happy, for great is your reward, which will come to you from heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. I like to say, Luke and I were talking about that today. And it's sort of a good reminder. It's a good reminder. Now going back to verse 13 in Matthew 24. He that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. He that actually crosses that finish line It doesn't matter what a big deal you talk about. Until you cross the finish line, you haven't made it. He that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And preach, and the gospel of the kingdom of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. You know, when I was younger, as I've said, I was associated with a church body that when they read verse 14, they actually thought it was referring to them, and that they, through radio and television and booklets and different writings, that they were going to flood the world with the gospel. And by their actions, Jesus would be able to return. Well, they had it wrong, folks. Jesus will preach the gospel himself. And there's one passage, I wonder if I can find it, where Revelation 14:6. Don, can you turn there?
Mm-hmm.
Revelation 14:6. This verse a lot of people have never understood. I know why they didn't understand it, because their church organization taught something totally different. Their church organization taught that the organization was going to do all the preaching of the gospel. And thereby, all of the church leaders would tell the people, well, you got to send your money in here. You got to send your money in. We need your tithes. We need your offerings. Don, Luke brought up a great point today.
What was that?
There is some internet preacher, I'd never heard of him before. I think it was a last name something like Furtive.
No.
And Luke tells me that this guy appears on stage and his clothing is exorbitantly expensive. Luke talked about the guy wears $1,600 shoes.
Woo.
And I think I can go down and buy some Skechers for about $55. And my Skechers feel great, but I need to put socks on them over my feet before I put the Skechers on. And he said, and Luke was offended by this guy. I loved Luke's feeling of outrage. Luke was truly outraged about this character. I think he mentioned the idea that, I don't know if he was being accurate or he just threw it out as an example, of like the guy making $10 million a year. And as Luke said, he doesn't need $10 million a year. But I remember an organization, Don, where the leader who lived at the headquarters of this church, He felt like everything he owned had to be the most expensive.
Like Rolls Royces and jet airplanes.
Oh, yeah. And private jets. And he would get on his jet airplane and go flying around the world. What he was attempting to accomplish, I don't think anyone was ever able to really figure out. And he had to have, very expensive suits. He had a building built on his grounds. And inside the building, up on the ceiling, there was pure gold up there. The carpet came all the way from Vienna, Austria. Very expensive. And all of this was said to be preaching the gospel. Well, I think the only preaching that was done by all of that was, how much money can I get my people to send in to me, and how can I spend it? Many times inappropriately. But they would actually tell the people, we are going to fulfill Matthew 24:14. Preaching the gospel into the whole world. And yet, look at Revelation 14, verse 6. He said, and I saw another angel fly into the midst of heaven, which means the atmosphere. Most of the time you see the word heaven, it actually is referring to the atmosphere. Having the everlasting gospel to preach unto them that dwell upon the earth, to every nation and every kindred and every tongue and every people, saying in a loud voice, fear God, give glory to him, for the hour of his judgment is coming. And worship him that made the heavens and the earth and the sea and the fountains of the water. Is that a church organization that we just read about there, Don?
Is that church organization still in existence today?
Well, that other church organization, no. They ran out of money. But right here in Revelation 14:6, is that talking about a church organization?
Talking about angels.
Talking about an angel of God. Most likely, if I had to bet, Gabriel himself, the great spokesman. Jesus Christ doesn't need a collection of people doing his job because he knows how to do it himself. But there are a lot of church groups that deceive the people, thinking, well, you got to keep paying tithes, you got to keep paying offerings, you got to give extra offering, dig down until it hurts. Well, most of the people who belong to churches like that, they don't have a lot of money to start with. Many of them, the people live on fixed incomes. They don't have an extra $500 to throw in to the organization because they're just trying to keep food on their plates for themselves and their family members, their wife, their husband, maybe their children. And yet here this guy who's wearing $1,600 shoes just keeps putting pressure on them. Send me more. Send me more. Send me more. I don't know why people go for that. I really... Now, Luke told me this guy was, and the more I think about it, he said he was in charge of some mega church. Big time church, maybe 10, 12,000 members. Well, I think if I were Michael C. Garrett, and I'm almost 75 years of age, and I live on a fixed income, and he's wanting me to keep putting more and more money into that plate, I think I would just walk out of there, Don, and take my Bible with me and sit down in a nice quiet spot with some good lighting and just read the Word of God myself. And that way I don't have to worry about being deceived by some charlatan. Yeah, you always got to look out for those. You always got to look out for them. Matthew 24 again. Verse 15. Now, Don, I got to ask a question of you. How long have I been speaking?
An hour and 36 minutes.
An hour and 36 minutes. Okay. I'm looking at my watch down here. Verse 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the holy place. And then in parentheses, whoso reads, let him understand. Then let them which are in Judea, the area of what we now call the nation of Israel, let them flee up into the mountains. Let him that is on the housetop not even come down to take anything out of his house to take it with him. Neither let him which is in the field return back to grab some clothing. And he says, and woe unto them that are with child, and them that are nursing a child. Pray, verse 20, that your flight be not in the wintertime, neither on the Sabbath day. For then, verse 21, shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Now that's quite a passage there. Let's go back to the abomination of desolation. Verse 15. I would like you to please turn back to Daniel chapter 8. Going back into one of the major prophets, Daniel. Let me put a little card here. Daniel 8, verse 13. Remember, he said, whosoever reads this, let him understand. So what he's saying is, make sure you go back into the book of Daniel and brush up on your knowledge. Daniel 8, verse 3. Now let me check, make sure I got the right verse. I said verse 3, I meant verse 13. I didn't think that looked right. Notice verse 11. Now real quick here, I don't have to go down, I don't have the time to go into every little detail. But biblical prophecy says that as we close in on the end times, the Jewish people will build another temple. Now, Don, we don't know exactly for sure where the temple from Solomon's days existed. They have an idea, but all of that was destroyed by the Roman Empire. Then eventually with time, people tried to clean it up. And then when the Arabs came in and took over Jerusalem for hundreds of years, they found a spot that they cleared off, and they built themselves what they call the Dome of the Rock, or the Al-Aqsa, oh, I'm not saying that right, Al-Aqsa, a mosque. And to them, that's one of the third most holy places in the Islamic world. Now, every so often over my lifetime, a bunch of Jewish people, sort of religious radicals, have tried to march up to that location and act like they were going to take it over. And it creates riots because the Islamic people get all in an uproar, and the Jewish fanatics have worked themselves up to an uproar. And police have to come in and army people, and they have to separate them. And they've had to put a lot of restrictions on when some of those Jewish groups can even go up there. Because the very mention causes the people of the Islamic religion to get all fired up. Some people think that that's the site of a future temple. I've heard others put forth a theory that the other temple, the new temple, might be somewhere near there, but not exactly there. Well, I don't know. I don't know all of those stories. But what if, Don, just what if Iran and their little shadow governments of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis and this Islamic revolution, they keep wanting to fire missiles into Israel. What do you think would happen, Don, if a missile from Iran came all the way down to Jerusalem and hit the Dome of the Rock?
There'd be gold going all over the place in that golden dome.
Well, what would the people do?
The Jews be going, yay. The Muslims over there would be going, ooh.
Well, what would some of those Jewish people decide to do?
Rebuild their temple.
Exactly. They'd say, okay, that thing is gone. Now we're going to build a proper temple to God. Just keep that in mind. Do I know that's going to happen that way? No, I don't. I'm just putting forth a theory. But as it said there, let's get back to where we were. Verse 11, and he magnified himself even to the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the place of his sanctuary was cast down. So let's sort of piece this together. Let's do just a little what-ifing. What if the Dome of the Rock disappears from Iran, who thinks of themselves as the chief protector of Islam? The Islamic people of Jerusalem cannot blame the Jews, although some of them probably would try. But the Jewish people might very well say, okay, your Dome of the Rock, Al-Aqsa Mosque, it's all gone. We're going to build a proper temple. And they do. And we're told in different prophecies that the adherents to the Jewish faith, as best as they know how to follow it, are going to reintroduce daily sacrifices at the temple. Well, along comes another power, another military power, and they say, no, you're not going to have those daily sacrifices anymore. And verse 12, and a host was given him against the daily sacrifice by reason of transgression, and it cast down the truth to the ground, and it practiced and prospered. Verse 13, then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint, and said unto that certain saint which spoke, how long will be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the desolation, the transgression of desolation, to give both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? And he said unto me, unto 2,300 days shall the sanctuary be cleansed. Now, I don't have time to go into what that number means. We will do that sometime, or I'll give you my best shot at what it means. But the thing I want you to think about now, at some time in the future, the Jewish people are going to build a temple. And the Jewish adherents are going to reintroduce daily sacrifices. And then a very strong military power is going to move in. And this military power might very well be from the continent of Europe. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And they will stop the sacrifices. And that's called the transgression of desolation. Now let's go back to where we were. Let's go back to Matthew 24, verse 15. When you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken by the prophet, Daniel the prophet, that's when the local people, when God says to the local people, get on your cars, your motorcycles, your mopeds, your hang gliders, whatever you got, and get out of that area around Jerusalem, because it's going to become terrible. Well, is anything else mentioned? Let's take a look at Daniel 11, verse 31. Spoken of by Daniel the prophet. Daniel 11, verse 31. And let's see what we read here. Verse 31. And again, this is a very long prophecy here. I don't have time to dissect it right now. But it is something we want to do. It'll be sort of intense. I mean, you're going to have to really study hard and think about it. But I will go through sometime and give you my version of what I think is happening. And arms shall stand on his part. Arms, or armies, armed people, military people. And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength. They shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that makes desolate. Now, what is it? Now remember, there's a time that temple exists. It's being dedicated to the Jewish traditions. It has daily sacrifices. There's probably the reincarnation of the Aaronic, as in Aaron, priesthood. And the Jewish people are very happy. Then comes an invading army in from the north. They take over Jerusalem. They take over this temple area. And then they pollute the sanctuary. Now, do you know what I've heard some people speculate, Don?
What?
Now, this did happen one time in history. I don't remember the Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus Epiphanes, something.
He's the one who took the pig blood or something?
Yes. He was a Roman general. He went into the temple of his day, there in Jerusalem, and he sacrificed pig's blood upon the altar dedicated to God. Now, this was meant to be the ultimate insult to the Jewish people of his day. Something like that is going to happen again. Now, will it be pig's blood? Or could it be the blood of a dog? I don't know. But something is just going to be horrific to the Jewish people. And again, that is called the abomination that makes desolate. I mean, this act is so unholy that it makes the temple of no value anymore. Like the Jewish people will never want to have a part of it again. Now, is there anything else we can read? I think there is. Let's go to chapter 12, verse 11. Chapter 12, verse 11.
In Matthew?
No, we're still in the book of Daniel.
Okay.
Thank you for reminding me to say that. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that makes desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Now, that's a little more than 3.5 months, or 3.5 years. And then, blessed, we're told in verse 12, is he that waits and comes to the 1,335 days. Now again, I'm not going to go in and unravel these things right now. It's pretty tedious. But the big overarching theme I want you to know is the Jewish people are going to build a temple someday. And after a while, foreign armies, probably from the continent of Europe, are going to take it over militarily by force. And then the daily sacrifices are stopped and the temple is profaned. And that's called the abomination that makes desolate. And this becomes a marker for end-time events. And like we read, some people are told, get out of town as fast as you can. Now, there's another reference that talks about this in a way. Would you please turn to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Remember we read one time that to study the Word of God, it's here a little, there a little, line upon line, precept upon precept. In order to understand biblical truth, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. You have to learn enough of the pieces and how they fit together. Now, when you do, you have a pretty good knowledge of what's going on. And so that's, instead of making you do it yourself, which might be difficult, we're going to try to help piece all this together. I need to find the book of Thessalonians. Come on, don't hide. Okay, what did I say? 2 Thessalonians chapter, where are we here?
Sure.
2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Are you still with me, Don?
Yes.
How much time do we have remaining?
About 5 minutes.
About 5 minutes. I'll try to do this quickly. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by the gathering together unto him. This is talking about the return of Jesus Christ, and the true saints of God being gathered together just before they graduate into the kingdom of God. That you be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit nor by word. Remember, Jesus said, fear not. These things must happen. Nor letter as from us, as the day of Christ is at hand, the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord is not a day worthy of celebration. The day of the Lord, the day that Jesus Christ returns and becomes directly involved in the punishment of evil human beings, evil cultures, evil religions, evil political systems. He's going to clean house. He says in verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. What do you mean falling away? Falling away from the truth. We sort of read that a while ago in Matthew 24. The same idea. People turning their backs on the truth of God. Because I imagine for most of them it will be a fear. They don't want to be punished. They don't want to be identified as a true Christian. And so therefore they turn their backs on what they know to be true. And he says, and except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who, this is talking about a future great religious leader that's going to be the leader of that nation, that group of nations from Europe. In the book of Revelation, he is often called the false prophet. There is the prophet, or the great military leader, and then there's the false prophet, the great religious deceiver. And this fella has close contacts with Satan himself. And it says in verse 4, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sits in the temple of God. Remember that future Jewish temple, showing himself that he is God. And the book of Revelation, like in chapter 13, I don't think we have time to go there right now, but hopefully next week I will remember to go to Revelation 13 and see what the book of Revelation has to say about this very same person. Now, when you get into prophecy, which I guess is what we're doing here a bit, you get a lot of loose strings. It's sort of like spaghetti. It's hard to figure out where one piece of spaghetti ends and where a new piece begins and how to put it all together. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of study, and hopefully you have access to someone that has a little bit of knowledge to help you figure it out. Well, folks, I'm trying to be that person to help you figure it out. I'm trying to teach you some of these ideas. And I hope you pay